Good afternoon, everyone. So now, gentlemen, we must admit we're not here today for what our Blair veterans believe to be a veteran valor event. Instead, we are here to honor and commemorate the Blair family for their service and sacrifices to our country. And this comes as a bit of a surprise, I think, to our guests of honor here. And to the Blair family, I can't believe you pulled this off, because my family, this never would have happened. My sisters would have been calling, my aunts would have been calling. But what a wonderful job. As we know, the Blairs had 8 family members who served in the United States Army to serve our country. But what you might not know is the sacrifices their family had to make back here at home, while their sons and brothers risked their lives for our country. This ceremony will share their story and give them the long overdue recognition that they deserve. But first, let's start out our program with the singing of our national anthem by Taylor LaValle.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Taylor. That was beautiful. In the Blair family, 8 brothers served in the United States Army. Unfortunately, only 4 are with us here today. To honor the 4 Blair brothers who have passed away, the American Legion Montgomery Post 912 Color Guard will present a 21-gun salute and taps.
Commander, honor the 4 departed Blair brothers. Honor guard, 4 on. Ready, on. 8. Fire! 8. Fire! 8. Fire! Present, on.
bear with me. I'm trying to do my best Tom Halleck here. To introduce some of our distinguished guests, or I'll introduce some of our distinguished guests, I should say. We have Clinton County Sheriff Dave Favreau with us. We have Clinton County Area 8 legislator, where is he? Wendell over there, Wendell Hughes, everybody knows Wendell. And I'd like to introduce Barry Finnegan next. He is our first speaker. We owe a lot to Barry, we really do. He leads the charge to honor our hometown heroes and make sure they are honored and recognized for their service to our country. Through North Country Honor Flight, by flying our veterans to Washington, D.C. to see their war memorials. So it is with great honor and my pleasure that I introduce Barry Finnegan from North Country Honor Flight.
Hi everyone, what a wonderful event. Just thrilled to be here to be able to witness this. And first off, I'd like to thank the Blair Brothers, first off, for becoming members of Honor Flight and going on that flight with us. If you guys don't sign up and go, we're out of business. So we appreciate you going, and I can tell you it was an honest pleasure to take you guys. It's been an experience right from the beginning. And to your family, you've done such marvelous things. Sue and Weasel, I hate to call out anybody, but there's been a lot of people involved to make all this happen. And congratulations to you. You did a great job on it. And to pull this off as a surprise, that was just amazing. In the North Country, that doesn't happen. You know, every person, that they talk about who do you want to sit down and have lunch with or have a cup of coffee with over history. I want to talk to Mama Blair. My gosh. Knowing these guys for the short time that I do, I know how uneasy it was raising these four. And no, she's just an amazing person. There's a story that needs to be told. I hope somebody picks up on this and does a book at least, if not a movie. Incredible story. Again, I'm honored to be here today, and thank you guys for everything you do. Thank you for your service, and thanks everybody else for coming out today. All that parade that came over here today, just amazing. You guys on that bikes, amazing again. Not exactly a hot day, and all the fire equipment and the state police and everybody that were here, city police, sheriff's department. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Barry, again for all the work that you do for these veterans. Our next speaker is the Town of Plattsburgh Supervisor, Michael Cashman. At every North Country Honor Flight send-off ceremony, you can find Supervisor Cashman here with us honoring our veterans. So I'll now welcome Michael Cashman to the podium.
Good afternoon, folks. I promise of a politician to be brief. I'll hold to that. But I want to start by saying that it truly is an honor and a privilege to be among you. When you collect in the presence of individuals like this, you can't help to be inspired by their example. From every town, from every village, from every city, every county, every state, we should be grateful as a nation for their contributions. Every American should look to them as an example in your family. From my heart to yours, and from everyone that couldn't be here today, know that your service is felt in the way that we are able to live our lives through freedom. Please understand that from my generation personally to yours, I know that you gave so much and your family gave so much in service and sacrifice. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless this great nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next off, we'll have Clinton County Sheriff Dave Favreau to say a few words, and I say a few words, Dave.
I set the bar, Dave.
I remember when following Mike Cashman on that one is tough. All I can say to the four of you and to your four siblings that aren't with us today, we pray for all of you. we thank all of you with deep, heartfelt appreciation. And to your families and loved ones that are here and those that aren't with us, again, thank you so much for what you have committed and for taking the time and being here today. You have no idea what this means to our community. I want to thank Billy Jones and his office for putting this together, because this is the minimum that we can do to acknowledge that appreciation. Thank you all for coming out. Enjoy the rest of the event.
Sorry, I forgot one thing. We were in touch with Fort Drum out there. It was a very big part of the Army out there in Watertown, and the general had something major going on where he couldn't make it, but he had a lieutenant colonel all lined up to be here today. Unfortunately, that fell through late last night, and he called and said he just couldn't make it, but he sends his best and wish he could be here. So, unfortunate circumstances, they couldn't be here and represent Fort Drum and the Army, but they send their best. Thank you.
Probably not the first time the higher ups have, disappointed you fellas, right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. You don't have to catch that one, Joe, in the quote, but in order to tell the story of the Blair family, we cannot do that without the help of one of their own, Sue Bruno. Throughout the entire planning process for this ceremony, Sue has been right there helping any way she can. Sue's love of her family is unmatched, and I can think of no better person to speak on behalf of the family than her. So now I welcome Sue Bruno to the podium.
Bear with me.
You got it, Mama.
I'm not going to say this is going to be easy. Guess I gotta switch. Good afternoon. I would like to thank all of you that have shown up here today to honor this amazing family. First responders, fire, EMS, all the state troopers, and law enforcement that are here. Also to my motorcycle friends who are always there for us when we need an escort. I want to thank all of you. And for anybody else who has participated in this event. A special thank you to Officer D'Ambro, who had the conversation with one of my uncles on the day before the last honor flight, when a conversation took place that this family has never been honored for their services. So I appreciate you having that conversation, because it brings us to where we are today. To the honor flight personnel, especially Barry Finnegan, for everything you do for these veterans. Where to begin? 3 years ago, I approached 3 of my cousins at a graduation party, telling them that I felt that their fathers should be on one of these honor flights, and asked them what they thought of that. After telling them what the honor flight was about, they said, yes, that would be great. So, I went to speak to the 3 uncles. I thought they were going to give me a hard time. Surprisingly, they all said yes. I had one more to go to speak to, and I did. He also agreed to go on the honor flight. To see them go on this honor flight made me prouder than I could ever imagine. I know I speak for the whole family here when I say being a part of this Blair family is an honor and a true blessing. Many of us here today never got the chance to meet the man behind all of them, because he died at a young age. But from the stories that we have heard and seeing the way these kids have turned out, he must have been quite a man. As for our grandmother, well, I don't know if I have enough time to tell you how special she was. She was and will always be our true hero. She was the strongest woman I have ever known, because the life that she knew was not easy. She lost her twin sister at a very young age from an unknown illness, then to the loss of her son, her second born, who passed away shortly after he was born, to losing everything they had in a fire and had nowhere to live. They moved into a very small one-room schoolhouse, 13 of them. And believe me, this house still stands, and it is very small. They lived there for 5 years with no running water, no indoor plumbing, no electricity. They walked 2.2 miles down the road to a farm where they worked. They were finally given another schoolhouse, which was very small, but it was bigger. At least it had stairs, which they moved on blocks 2.2 miles down to where it still stands today. Again, with no running water and no indoor plumbing. Having to deal with a very sick husband and then having him pass away suddenly at a young age from a heart attack, leaving her to raise her 11 children and run that farm. But through it all, she never complained. She just did what she had to do to make it through. She had to watch her 8 boys leave to go into the Army. I personally cannot imagine the fear this woman faced every single day that they were gone. Waiting for letters to see if they were okay, or that dreaded knock on the door. Thankfully, that never happened. Her kids were everything to her. She had 3 daughters that also had to go to work to help while those boys were gone. Luckily, all 8 boys made it back, and the Blair family was great again. But in time, she would have to suffer the loss of 3 of those boys before she passed away herself. Life was not easy for her, but you would never know it because she never showed it. And her kids turned out just like her. I can tell you that I have never been in a house that was so full of love than hers. The laughter we shared, the tears that we shared, the joy, tons of memories that will never be forgotten. She made everything worth something, no matter how small it was. Some of my fondest memories were the reunions that she had at her house, the games that we played, softball, kickball, horseshoes, playing in the barns with our cousins. And then just going to see her to play cards, letting her cheat so she could win, and doing puzzles and letting her keep the last piece so she would be the last one to get that piece in. Spending Christmas at that house with all her kids there and their families. It was a very small house, but we made it happen. To know her was to love her, and she certainly left her mark on the town of Saranac. Now we're here to honor her kids as they should have been years ago. I am sure they are all looking down on us with pride. To say I'm humbled would not even touch the surface. I am so proud to be a part of this family. So with that said, I would like to take this time to thank each and every one of you. Uncle Leon, who is no longer with us. Uncle Chet, Uncle Pookie, who is no longer with us. Uncle Richard, Uncle Larry, Uncle Freddie, Uncle Gerald, who is no longer with us, and Uncle Bobby, for your service and your sacrifice, for being the heart and soul of the family that we love so much. Congratulations to you all. I cannot think of anyone who deserves this more to receive this honor. I only wish Mim, Grandpa, and all your brothers and sisters were with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. A wonderful dedication to your family. On the morning of October 1st, North Country Honor Flight sent its last flights of the year filled with veterans and their guardians to Washington, D.C. Among those veterans were the Blair Brothers, Chet, Fred, Larry, and Richard. Before stepping onto the Honor Flight bus, each of the four brothers held pictures of Leon, Merle, Gerald, and Robert, who have passed away, as a way to remember them. And I'm sure most of you were here that day. What a memorable picture that was, right around the same spot. Together, the 8 brothers did something we've never seen before and might never again. As 8 brothers, they joined the Army, choosing family and country over themselves. But just as important as their service was the help back here at home that they received from their siblings and parents. Their entire story, which you'll hear in a few minutes, tells one of perseverance. At the end of the day, none of us are here without the matriarch of the Blair family, their mother. When her husband Arthur passed away unexpectedly, it was up to her to captain the ship. She raised her family in a one-room schoolhouse. This might be a little repetitive, Sue. I didn't know your speech, but you said it a lot better than I will. For which many years didn't have running water. Merle ran the family farm, kept the family in line, all while the Blair brothers were serving in the Army in order to make money and send it back home. This ceremony would not be possible if it was not for her, as well as the sacrifices of the family back here in the North Country. Before I present the family with New York State Assembly proclamations, I'd like to recognize New York State Trooper James DeAmbro. He's hiding in the back there. But a lot of this is in part due to him and his efforts and him getting on the phone with a couple of us and saying, listen, we have to do something here to recognize this family and to recognize these guys for everything that they have done. And for all the work putting this together, I want to thank everyone involved here, and I'll thank them later on as well. Now for the reading of the New York State Assembly Proclamation, I'd like to call up, they're already up here, Chet, Fred, Larry, and Richard. On behalf of the 4 Blair brothers, I'd like to call up Sally Blair. She's not here. Oh, yeah. That's your own family saying you weren't here. I'm not taking the credit for that. Yeah, you could come on up. We're supposed to have this a little better organized, but like I said, I'm trying to do my best Tom Alec here. The wife of Merle, Patricia Blair, the wife of Robert, Jeannie Noel, the daughter of Leon, and Edie Ellis, the daughter-in-law of Gerald Blair. So we're going to do this. Do we want them up here, or I can go over there, but I won't have a mic. Okay, we'll read one. Barry, I'm not handy enough to hold it and do it at the same time. You'd swear I'd never done this before. The Assembly, State of New York, proclamation in honor of the Blair family. Whereas the Blair family began when Arthur and Merle Blair married on December 20th, 1930. And whereas Arthur and Merle Blair were married for 30 years and had 12 children, Leon, Raymond, Shirley, Elsie, Merle, Frederick, Chester, Larry, Richard, Burl, Gerald, and Robert. Say that twice. Whereas in 1954, the eldest son, Leon, was drafted by the United States Army and served until 1956. And where Merle helped out on the family farm until Leon returned home, and then enlisted in the Army, serving from 1957 to 1959. And whereas Arthur passed away unexpectedly on March 5th, 1961, leaving Merle as the sole leader of the family, with the boys vowing to enlist in the military to help send money back to support the family. And whereas Frederick and Chester enlisted together, serving in Germany and Korea, respectively, from 1962 until 1965, and whereas in 1964, Larry was drafted before his brother Richard enlisted 1 month later, with both of them serving until 1966. And whereas Gerald enlisted in the Army in 1965 and served in Vietnam until 1967. And whereas Robert served in Germany for 2 years and 1 day. And 1 day. That day must have been a tough day because we have that marked right here. From 1967 until 1970. And whereas Mrs. Blair raised all of her children in a one-room schoolhouse with lack of running water for many years. And whereas the Blair family sacrificed an immeasurable amount with the dedication and unwavering service of their 8 children to the United States Army, now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Assemblyman Billy Jones, do hereby honor and congratulate the Blair family for their numerous sacrifices to the United States of America. Wow, what a picture. This concludes our ceremony today. I want to thank the Blair family for what you did to help put this together. Once again, I cannot believe that they did not find this out. It was tough, yes. We talked about it before. I'd like to thank all of the first responders, emergency personnel, state and local law enforcement. I see so many, our state troopers, our Plattsburgh PD, Sheriff's Department. Thank you for coming out and doing this. EMS agencies who took their time out of the day. Our motorbikers here, motorheads I was almost saying, but they come out every time that we need them. Rain, shine, whether it's cold, windy. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies, for everything that you do for these veterans. Truly appreciate it. I'd like to thank the American Legion, Montgomery Post 912 Color Guard, Clinton County Correctional Color Guard, and Taylor LaValle for singing the national anthem. And if I missed anybody, please excuse me, and you can blame Brandon, my guy here. He wrote this. So, but thank you for showing up for our veterans like you do so often here in the North Country. Truly means a lot to them and their families. And thank you. Thank everyone here for coming to honor our families. We have our honor flight people that helped out put this together as well. I want to thank my staff for what they did. It was kind of a busy, frenetic week that we went through. Sue was right in there with us the whole time, and what a true honor it is to be able to recognize these gentlemen for the sacrifices that they made for our country, and what an honor it is to have their entire family here and the ones you have lost, and honor them for everything that you have done for our country. We can't thank you enough. Even though we will try to do it, but we can't thank you enough for everything that you have all done for our country. That's a wrap, everyone. Thank you so much.